Hello, welcome back for Unit 7 of our American History 2 course here at Waldorf University. And as we get into our second to last unit in the course, we got a couple of different things to do this week as usual. So I think it's important to keep focused on the discussion board. You're going to have the same posts, your first post due by Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Your other post due Saturday, also by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard. And this week, the question we're looking at over on the discussion board is kind of, in your opinion, to what extent did television shape American life and politics during this time period that we're studying this week, 1960 to 1980. So one of the cool things about this course is we got a wide age range going. Whether you're a residential student at Waldorf University or somebody that's a maybe older, wiser learner, we have a lot of different experiences probably with TV, and I bet we all have them. So I want you to be thinking about, as this rises as a popular technology during the 1960s and then carries through the 1980s, how that is really shaping American life as well as politics. You want to make sure you hit both parts of that question. In your response to classmates, use examples that you didn't use in your first post. So you explain whether you believe television had too much or too little influence during that same period. So there's a lot of different things you could focus in on here, like we have the Vietnam War, which people are going to call the living room war because it's covered in television. You also look at the rise of pop culture through TV, especially as we get closer to 1980. I just want you to be thinking about that and talking about it critically as we move into that discussion board question. The other big thing we got this week is the Unit 7 essay. You'll be talking about the global role of the United States. So if you go over the syllabus schedule document, it talks about the Unit 7 essay. And for that assignment, you're going to write an essay explaining how civilian Americans in the period 1960 to 1980 formed ideas about the global role of the United States in reaction to two things: the civil rights movement that's taking place in the United States during the 60s and 70s, as well as the Vietnam War. This is a really interesting moment of kind of cataclysm in American society. So where you're talking about this on TV, which definitely influences both of these things, the civil rights movements that are taking place in the country during this time that kind of also are happening contemporaneously with the Vietnam War. I want you to think about specific examples of how economic and technological developments shaped these political debates. To do this, I want you to select two primary source speeches by U.S. leaders with opposing views on either the Vietnam War or the civil rights movement. And what opposing views kind of means in this context is they don't necessarily have to be anti-war, pro-war. I've seen students approach this in a variety of different ways in past versions of this assignment. It can be as similar as thinking about leaders in the African-American civil rights movement, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. had very different approaches to that. You don't necessarily need to find like a white supremacist source and then Martin Luther King Jr. Well, you're welcome to do that as well. When we talking about the Vietnam War, there's a lot of different positions that people are going to have, whether it's on different sides of the political aisle, whether it's pro-war, anti-war movement. Feel free to use some kind of latitude on those sources. So you're going to select at least one secondary source, hopefully from a peer-reviewed journal or an ebook. Use the Waldorf Online Library for that. You can use the library guide that's in the syllabus schedule. Also, some students find Google Scholar really useful for doing that as well. Then it gives you some kind of steps to develop that essay. There's 4 steps in kind of the syllabus schedule that I think can be pretty useful. So once you've kind of chosen an appropriate secondary source and your relevant primary sources, use these to kind of develop these opposing viewpoints. Once you kind of have that done, you'll wrap up your research and then focus on kind of how the civilian view of the American role in the world was shaped by reactions to its participation in Vietnam and the civil rights movement. Include economic and technological changes. I think those are important things to keep in mind as they're a part of the prompt. Then you're going to draw some conclusions about the origins of kind of conflicting views among Americans regarding this role of the United States in global affairs. This is where you can start putting together that thesis, and your thesis should offer your reader your conclusions or specific insights regarding the causes of these conflicting views about these events. As you do this, I think it's really important to bring in specifics. So there's some really good guidelines there. There's about 8 of them. I'm not going to read them all to you here, but kind of ways to approach that. So if you're stuck on this, I think these are really good brainstorming exercises, things like composing a list of American positions for and against Vietnam or for and against civil rights strategies or legislation, talking about overlap between, explaining how they shape kind of American perceptions of global roles. If you work through that list, I think you'll really have a good kind of start to that. What are the challenges we've seen throughout the courses? I don't want to see huge quotations in your papers. So it's even there in the guidelines. Direct quotations from your sources shouldn't exceed 10% of your submission. I want to know what your analysis is. It's really easy to read the sources. I don't know what you think unless you write about it. So make sure you're creating your own analysis. Once you kind of get that done, you'll end up with 2 pages plus a title page and bibliography. Make sure you use an APA style, all that stuff, and put your best foot forward with that kind of essay this week. You also have a chance to do end of course survey. We're always trying to make our courses better here at Waldorf University, and I like reading through that stuff. Whatever you have to say, I appreciate it. I hope, obviously, try to put a lot of time and effort and thought into how I'm running these courses. And I think your opinion really matters. These classes are meant to help you learn. And if something's not working for you, let us know. If something's working for you really well, that's also really useful, because then I can use that in meetings or other kind of curriculum stuff and talk about, well, this worked for some students. So your voice matters. Do those end of course surveys, and otherwise reach out with any questions you got this week. I appreciate the hard work you've put in, and let's finish the course out strong. Good luck.